Okay, so this is just a quick video to help us understand the hypothesis testing process. This process we're going to use with a lot of different tests. So we're going to talk about one proportion, two proportion. We'll talk about means, one mean, two mean. We'll talk about chi-squared. There's a lot of different things that follow this process. And there's 4 steps. The first step is that you have to name your hypotheses. Okay, so this is where you do your ho and you do your ha. For both of these, you need to make sure that they're in context. And you also have to put the parameter inside, right? This is the population mean, what you're comparing it to. And for ho's, it's always equal to, and remember ha's, it's either, so a ho is equal, a ha is going to be greater than, less than, or not equal to, okay? But you have to put that in here. I'm not going to write what it is because right now it's p, but in a couple chapters it's going to be mu. And so I just want to make sure that you're having the math there, okay? The next thing we need to do, and this is probably the most important part that people skip, and this is the model, okay? From here, there's a couple things you have to do. One thing you have to do is you have to specify the model name. Right now, what we're working with is one proportion z's, okay? Later, it'll be two proportion, it'll be one mean, two means, difference of means, paired means, like there's a lot of options, but you have to specify the name, okay? All right, the next thing you have to do is you have to check your conditions. Remember, when you're checking your conditions, do it in context. Don't just say check, check. Like actually do the math, write it out, write the complete sentence. And then the last thing is, and this is mainly for my AP kids, but you need to do a model statement. Okay, that's mainly for AP. Regular stats, if you don't do it, it's going to be okay. But AP, I want you to get in the habit so that that way when you see these tests on your AP exam that you do good at them. Okay, so let's change the colors for our 2, 1. So let's say that conditions are met. Okay, so if conditions are met, this is what you're going to say. Because our conditions are met, I can model, or we can model, the sampling distribution of the, and this is where you put your model name, with a normal model. Essentially what this is saying is that our conditions are met, so we know that we can use our percentiles and different things from a normal model. If they're not met, then the normal model is not going to apply. Okay, so if conditions are not met, let's change to red. We're going to say because conditions are not met, I cannot proceed with the test. I will say this doesn't happen that often. So if you have a problem where it's not met, you should probably double check it to make sure that that you've done it correct. So double check your conditions. This does not happen that often. And I would say, especially on an AP exam, I don't think they're going to give you one that doesn't work because they want to see your whole process. Okay. Okay, so far, let's zoom out. We got, step 1 is our hypothesis. Step 2 is the model. Oh, I don't know what happened there. And so now what's going to happen is we got to go to step 3. So I'm going to come over here for step 3. Am I using black? Yeah. Okay, for step 3, this is where we do our mechanics, which is just our math, right? So this is where you're going to calculate the SE, standard error. And so what I want you to do is I actually want you to show, what happened there? Show plugging it in. The next thing you need to do is you need to determine the p-value. So you're going to draw and shade. Remember, we don't need a super fancy picture. Oh, that's a horrible E. But you're just going to put the mean here, draw a line, and shade. Okay? You also need to include this N, where you have the mean and standard deviation. If you do not want to do this process, you can show how you calculate the z-score. Z-score, show work. I think most people in the end do better with this process because we've done it so much. And then the last thing is if you have a small p, you should find the confidence interval. So if you have a small p, find the confidence interval. If you don't have a small p, then it doesn't matter. What we do is if we're going to reject it, we would like to say where the percent is. Okay, last thing. 4 is our conclusion. Okay, so this is a statement on the null. And where it's one or two options. We reject the null, or we fail to reject the null. Okay, let's make a couple notes on this one real quick. Oops. So rejecting the null is a small p-value. Oops, I didn't spell value right. I'll be done in just a second. Small p-value, and we have evidence. Fail to reject, we have a large p-value, and we have no evidence. Okay, so we'll do a handful of these and we'll continue practicing these hypothesis tests, but hopefully this page of notes is a good outline that will apply to all of your things.